Episode 3. 2 Taps and a Jade Ring. The King and Queen of Jinhai. Our families arranged our marriage, unaware we rule the entire city. At 9:17 in the morning, Zhou Kai discovered that the West Queen of Jinhai had vanished. This was not normally possible. The West Queen could cross 3 districts without appearing on a traffic camera, enter a guarded warehouse without opening a door, and leave a room before the men inside realized they had agreed with her. Yet she did not vanish from the people who worked for her. Someone always knew where she was. Someone had received an instruction, changed a route, or been told to prepare tea that she would never drink. Last night, however, the trail ended at 6:42. It resumed at 11:12. Between those hours, Linjiang House had continued to function with suspicious perfection. Zhou Kai stood in the Kanglan Circle's operations room, beneath a legitimate electronics warehouse, and regarded the timeline on the wall. He Jun regarded it beside him. Perhaps she slept, He Jun said. Zhou Kai turned his head. He Jun was 31, built like a reinforced door, and capable of saying absurd things with complete sincerity. For 4.5 hours. People do. Not voluntarily. You do not. I am busy. You color-coded the gaps. That is why they are visible. The western side of the timeline contained records gathered from traffic feeds, commercial cameras, informants, and the sort of quiet favors that became useful only if no one spoke of them. At 6:29, a black saloon associated with Linjiang House had entered an underground garage near the West River. At 6:42, a woman wearing a pale coat and a cap had left through a service corridor. After that, nothing. At 10:58, the same woman had appeared on a private camera, entering a townhouse owned by Shen Lanyue. At 11:12, the West Queen had issued 3 orders through Tang Min. Zhou Kai circled the gap. Where was Shen Lanyue? He asked. He Jun glanced at the second file. At her home until 7. Her car remained there until 7:40. At 8:13, she arrived at the Shen family compound. Did anyone see her leave home? No. Did anyone see her enter the car? No. Who confirmed the arrival? A security camera outside the south gate. Zhou Kai held out his hand. He Jun passed him a tablet. The recording showed the south gate of the Shen compound beneath the wet branches of an osmanthus tree. At 8:13, a dark blue car stopped outside. Shen Lanyue emerged wearing an ivory suit, her hair pinned neatly behind one ear. She smiled at the old gatekeeper, accepted an umbrella, and paused for precisely 4 seconds before going inside. During those 4 seconds, she turned a pale jade ring around her finger. Zhou Kai replayed it. Then he replayed it again. He Jun folded his arms. The West Queen wears a jade ring. Many women wear jade rings. The West Queen turns hers before she makes a decision. Many women turn rings. Do many women leave an underground garage unseen, fight beside our chief at South Harbor, and appear at the Shen compound with bruised knuckles? Zhou Kai looked at him. You were the one who suggested she slept. I have reconsidered. Zhou Kai enlarged the image of Shen Lanyue's right hand. The knuckles were faintly red. He thought of the woman at South Harbor, standing amid shattered crates with rain in her hair and laughter in her voice. He thought of the public photograph taken 3 years ago when Lanyue Logistics opened its new northern depot. The elegant founder had smiled at the cameras while holding a ceremonial pair of scissors. On her right hand had been the same ring. Zhou Kai placed both images side by side. That, He Jun said, is inconvenient. That is not a conclusion. It looks very much like one. A conclusion requires proof. What does proof look like? Zhou Kai considered the question. On the other side of the city, Tang Min was asking exactly the same thing. 2 taps, Luo Xinyi said. Tang Min stared at the frozen image on her screen. Gu Zhen stood outside the Gu family compound in a charcoal overcoat, his face turned slightly away from the camera. He was speaking to an elderly gardener. One hand rested on the roof of his car. His index finger touched the metal once. Then twice. The recording had no sound. It did not need any. Tang Min pressed play. Gu Zhen tapped twice, stepped back and allowed the gardener to carry a basket through the gate before his car moved. She rewound the image. Again, Luozini said. I saw it. I enjoy watching your certainty suffer. Tang Min gave her a calm look. Luozini smiled and leaned against the desk. At 27, Linjiang House's intelligence chief possessed an angelic face, an encyclopedic memory, and a belief that politeness was most effective when used as a weapon. The room around them occupied the upper floor of a closed riverside teahouse. Its windows overlooked the western embankment. To anyone outside, the building had been awaiting renovation for 18 months. Inside, 6 screens displayed the movements of the most feared man in eastern Jinhai. Unfortunately, 5 of those screens displayed Gu Zhen. At 7:18 the previous evening, the president of Zhenyu Systems had left his office through a private lift. At 7:26, his driver had taken his empty car towards his penthouse. At 7:31, a motorbike with false plates had entered a service tunnel beneath Zhong'an Road. At 7:57, the East King had appeared at an eastern warehouse. At 8:30, he had reached South Harbor. At 10:41, he had left the harbor with Zhou Kai. At 11:19, Gu Zhen had entered his apartment building through the residence garage. Tang Min had spent 2 hours trying to turn those facts into 2 different men. The facts refused. The helmet concealed his face, she said. The shoulders did not. Broad shoulders are not uncommon. Nor are jade rings, apparently. Tang Min ignored that. Luozini lifted another photograph. This is the East King leaving the old textile yard 6 months ago. The man's face was hidden in shadow. His left hand rested against the door of a black vehicle. 2 fingers touched the frame. This is Gu Zhen before authorizing the Zhenyu acquisition of Pengfei Robotics. 2 taps against a conference table. This is the East King before ordering 3 harbor captains to abandon the smuggling of unregistered firearms. 2 taps against a railing. This is Gu Zhen deciding whether to eat the last sesame bun at a charity breakfast. Tang Min looked up. Why do we have that? It was publicly streamed. Why did you watch it closely enough to count his fingers? I am thorough. You are enjoying this. Immensely. Tang Min looked again at Gu Zhen. The respectable founder of Zhenyu Systems was known for speaking rarely, negotiating without visible emotion, and making difficult decisions with unsettling speed. The East King of Jinhai was known for exactly the same things, except that his negotiations occasionally involved removing a steel door from its hinges. Until this morning, the resemblance had been merely interesting. Now it was dangerous. Tang Min closed the files. Where was he between 7 and 11? Every public record claims he was home. And every useful record claims that Gu Zhen was nowhere. What about this morning? Luozini's smile sharpened. At the Gu compound, having breakfast with Shen Lanyue. Tang Min became very still. How do you know that? A society photographer was waiting outside. The families issued an announcement at 10:30. She turned the central screen. The photograph showed Gu Zhen and Shen Lanyue standing between their grandparents beneath the carved gate of the Gu family compound. The elders looked triumphant. The parents looked relieved. The younger siblings looked as though they were attempting not to laugh. Gu Zhen and Shen Lanyue looked perfectly composed. Their hands were linked. The headline beneath them read, Jinhai heirs announce engagement as Hengtai and Heiyuan prepare historic merger. For 5 full seconds, neither woman spoke. Then Luozini said, "This is more inconvenient than I expected." Tang Min enlarged the photograph. Shen Lanyue's thumb rested against Gu Zhen's hand. Gu Zhen's gaze rested on Shen Lanyue's face. Neither expression would have attracted public attention. Tang Min had known her chief for 9 years. She recognized delight when she saw it. "Do we tell her?" Luozini asked. Tang Min looked towards the river. She ordered confirmation. "This appears confirmed." "No, it appears impossible. Those are not opposites." Tang Min rose and collected both files. We tell her exactly what we found. And what do we call Gu Zhen? Tang Min paused at the door. For now. She glanced at the engagement photograph. Her fiancé. At 10:28, Gu Zhen was sitting in the garden room of the Gu compound, while 8 members of his family discussed his wedding, as though he had already agreed to a date. Technically, he had not agreed to a wedding. He had agreed not to reject an engagement. His grandparents regarded this distinction as a temporary administrative inconvenience. Autumn, Lin Shuqin declared, the ginkgo trees will be gold. Too soon, Zhao Wenli said. Exactly, Xu Meifeng replied, that prevents unnecessary opinions. Gu Minghao looked up from the merger documents. Whose opinions? Yours. Across the table, Shen Lanyue lowered her teacup to hide a smile. Gu Zhen noticed. She noticed him noticing. Her pale jade ring moved once around her finger. He rested his hand beside his papers. Tap, tap. Her eyes brightened. No one else at the table reacted. That was the difficulty with families. They could identify a hidden bruise from the way one lifted a teacup, yet fail to notice 2 rival rulers exchanging declarations of war beside the wedding calendar. Shen Wenzhou pushed a printed schedule towards them. Tomorrow afternoon, you will attend the preliminary signing for Huacheng Group, not the final merger, just the framework. Shen Lanyue read the first page. Why does a preliminary signing require 63 guests? Confidence, Shen Jianhong said. Confidence needs canapes. Investors do. Gu Yutong leaned towards Shen Rui. I need canapes. You ate 6 lotus buns. Those were breakfast. It is still morning. Time is a social arrangement. Gu Zhen reached across without looking and moved the plate of pastries away from his sister. Yutong gasped, oppression. Shen Lanyue moved the plate back. Solidarity, she said. Yutong immediately abandoned her brother and took Lanyue's arm. Jade, I have always wanted you in this family. You wanted the pastries. People can want 2 things. Gu Zhen looked at Shen Rui's wrapped wrist. Does it hurt? The boy concealed it beneath the table too late. Not much. That was not the question. Rui sighed, only when I move it. Then stop moving it, Shen Lanyue said. Excellent medical advice. I own logistics companies. We solve problems by preventing damaged cargo from traveling. I am not cargo. Yutong bit into a pastry, debatable. Shen Lanyue's phone vibrated once against the table. Gu Zhen's vibrated a heartbeat later. Neither reached for it. The family continued debating flowers, guest lists, and whether 2 adjoining ancestral halls could accommodate one ceremony without either family appearing to surrender territory. Gu Zhen looked at Lanyue. She was looking at him. Their messages had arrived in the pattern both had expected. Confirmation. His pulse remained steady. Something beneath it did not. 12 years ago, Shen Lanyue had climbed onto the roof of the Western Library and dared him to follow. She had been 13, furious at the world and certain that height made rules less relevant. He had climbed after her because someone needed to stop her falling. She had laughed and told him he was boring. An hour later, when the tiles became wet, he had carried her down. Last night, the West Queen had stood on a collapsing container and told him precisely the same thing. Boring. He had remembered the word before he remembered the girl. That irritated him. It also made a number of impossible things simple. You are frowning, Xu Meifeng said. Gu Zhen looked at his grandmother. I am thinking. About the wedding. About logistics. Shen Lanyue choked on her tea. Her grandmother patted her back. Slowly, you are you. I am fine. Gu Zhen passed her a napkin. She accepted it with a sweet smile. Thank you, Zhenji. The childhood name landed with surgical precision. His grandfather looked delighted. Gu Zhen's face did not move. Under the table, Shen Lanyue's shoe touched his ankle once. Not an accident. He shifted his foot and trapped hers lightly between both of his. Her eyebrow rose. He released her. Grandmother Lin watched them over the rim of her cup, her eyes narrowed with satisfaction. The children should have some time alone, she announced. Both ladies looked at her. Why? Shen Lanyue asked. Because you are engaged. We became engaged 40 minutes ago. Then you have wasted 40 minutes. Su Qing laughed. Mother. What? They have not seen one another in 12 years. Take a walk, speak, argue privately so we do not need to hear it. We are not arguing, Gu Zhen said. Not properly, Shen Lanyue agreed. Xu Meifeng waved them towards the garden. Go. Gu Zhen stood. Shen Lanyue stood beside him. The moment they crossed the threshold, the younger siblings attempted to follow. 4 grandparents turned their heads. Yutong and Rui sat down again. The garden door closed. Rain had stopped, leaving the stone path dark beneath their feet. For the first 30 meters, Gu Zhen and Shen Lanyue said nothing. The adjoining Gu and Shen compounds shared an old garden divided by a wall that had contained a moon gate for longer than either of them had been alive. Their grandparents had refused to close it even when the families built separate security systems. As children, Gu Zhen and Shen Lanyue had treated the gate as the center of their world. East of it belonged to him. West of it belonged to her. Everything else was negotiable. They stopped beneath the gate. Shen Lanyue placed one palm against the old grey brick. Did you know, she said, that half the city now thinks this engagement created the merger? It did. No, grandfather has been planning Huacheng for at least 8 months. 10. She looked at him. You knew. I found the draft structure in a Hengtai data room. Were you supposed to? It was poorly hidden. That means no. Did you know? 9 months ago, Heiyuan used one of my warehouses for due diligence. Were you supposed to notice? They measured the same loading bay twice. For a moment, they simply looked at one another. Then Shen Lanyue laughed. It began quietly, it did not stay that way. Gu Zhen felt the corner of his mouth move. Our parents believe they are subtle, she said. Our parents believe many things. They believe we run ordinary companies. We do run ordinary companies. Zhenyu Systems has an emergency command center beneath a warehouse. Lanyue Logistics has reinforced vans that weigh more than armored personnel carriers. Her laughter stopped. The garden became very quiet. A drop of water fell from the eaves and struck the stone between them. Gu Zhen watched her face. Shen Lanyue watched his hands. He tapped 2 fingers against the edge of the moon gate. Once, twice, she turned her jade ring. Neither pretended not to understand. Your message arrived, he said. So did yours. What did it say? That the East King disappeared at precisely the time Gu Zhen became unavailable. Coincidence? Naturally. Mine said the West Queen vanished before Shen Lanyue arrived here. Jinhai is full of mysterious women. Not that mysterious. She tilted her head. You took 12 years to recognize me. You took the same. I recognized your bad temper immediately. I do not have a bad temper. You threw a man through a packing crate. He had a knife. You threw the knife through the next crate. It was in the way. Her mouth trembled. He looked towards the garden room. Every window reflected the pale sky. Their families were visible only as moving shadows behind the paper screens. Not here, he said. Afraid grandmother will hear. She hears guilt through walls. Mine hears wedding objections across provinces. Do you object? The question emerged more directly than he intended. Shen Lanyue stopped smiling. For the first time that morning, no game moved beneath her expression. No, she said. The simplicity of it struck him harder than any answer should have. She searched his face. Do you? No. Her shoulders eased by a fraction. That is inconvenient, she murmured. Why? Because I prepared several excellent arguments. You can use them later. I intend to. Voices sounded behind the garden door. Yutong was insisting that she needed air. 3 grandparents were insisting that she did not. Shen Lanyue stepped through the moon gate and began walking backwards along the western path. Old Riverside Theatre, she said, 10 tonight before the others arrive. The prisoner is there. He is also tied to a chair. That has not improved his manners. 9:50. 9:40. Impatient. Efficient. She considered him, then turned her ring. 9:45. Gu Zhen tapped the stone wall twice. Agreed. The garden door opened. 4 younger eyes peered out. Shen Lanyue immediately picked a camellia blossom and held it out to Gu Zhen. He accepted it. Yutong made a sound like a kettle beginning to boil. Shen Rui dragged her back inside. The door closed again. Gu Zhen looked at the flower in his hand. That was unnecessary. It was camouflage. They now believe we were discussing romance. We were discussing an engagement. And a prisoner. Every relationship requires shared interests. She walked away before he could answer. The jade ring flashed once beneath the grey light. At noon, the boardroom of Zhenyu Systems contained 14 executives, 3 merger advisors, and 1 man who had chosen the wrong day to conceal a shell company. Gu Zhen sat at the head of the table. The camellia lay beside his tablet. No one commented on it. Several people noticed. Huacheng Group will initially consolidate Hengtai's manufacturing assets and Heiyuan's shipping interests, the chief financial officer said. Zhenyu will remain independent, but we have been asked to provide systems integration. Asked, Gu Zhen said. The chief financial officer adjusted his glasses. Invited. By my father. Yes. Then asked was correct. A few restrained smiles moved around the table. Gu Zhen read the proposed supplier list. Most names were familiar, one was not. Jinhai Xingdao Consulting. The merger advisor on the left answered too quickly. A specialist restructuring firm. Established when? I would need to check. 3 months ago, Zhou Kai said from the rear wall. In this room, he was Gu Zhen's executive operations director. His suit was respectable, his expression was neutral, and no one would have guessed that 2 hours earlier he had been examining photographs of a criminal queen. The advisor looked towards him. Zhou Kai continued. Its registered director previously worked for Rongsheng Capital. The room cooled. Rongsheng had spent 6 months acquiring minority positions in companies connected to both families. Publicly, its chairman described this as confidence in Jinhai's industrial future. Privately, its representatives had approached 3 Hengtai lenders, 2 Heiyuan board members, and a deputy director who enjoyed expensive holidays. Gu Zhen opened the attached fee schedule. The shell company would gain access to Huacheng's debt structure, shipping schedules, and plant valuations. It was not an attack. It was a hand reaching towards an unlocked window. Remove them, he said. The advisor cleared his throat. Mr. Gu, Xingdao was recommended by. Tap, tap. Silence settled across the boardroom. Gu Zhen looked at the advisor. Remove them. Of course. Audit every recommendation linked to them. Zhou Kai made a note. The meeting continued. 20 minutes later, Gu Zhen's phone displayed a message from an unknown number. Western weather report, rain at 9:45, bring an umbrella. He read it once. Then he typed, the theater has a roof. The reply came immediately. It had one when we were children too. He remembered 2 children entering the abandoned theater through a broken stage door during a summer storm. Shen Lanyue had insisted the roof was sound. 6 minutes later, a sheet of water had fallen onto Gu Zhen and spared her entirely. He had carried both their school bags home. She had carried the umbrella. Closed, Gu Zhen placed the phone face down. Zhou Kai's gaze moved from the camellia to the phone and back. Is there a problem? Gu Zhen asked. No. You look as if there is. I am considering how much information you expect from the report. The other executives gathered their papers and left with sudden efficiency. When the doors closed, only Gu Zhen, Zhou Kai and He Jun remained. Zhou Kai placed the West Queen file on the table. We found a gap in her movements. How long? 4 hours and 30 minutes. Beginning 6:42. Ending 11:12. Gu Zhen turned one page. There was Shen Lanyue entering her family compound. There was her hand enlarged beneath it. There was the ring. Your conclusion? He asked. Zhou Kai chose his words carefully. Shen Lanyue's movements are consistent with the West Queen's. Consistent is not identical. No. Do you believe they are the same woman? Zhou Kai looked directly at him. Do you? He Jun silently became interested in the conference table. Gu Zhen closed the file. I asked for your conclusion. And I am trying to determine whether giving it will cause a territorial crisis, a wedding crisis, or both. The engagement is not your concern. The West Queen is. At 9:50 tonight, take the prisoner to the lower dressing room of the old theatre. Search him again. No weapons within reach. No one enters the main auditorium before 10. Why? Gu Zhen's eyes lifted. Zhou Kai nodded once, understood. One more thing, Gu Zhen said, do not follow me. That produced a silence of a different kind. He Jun looked up. Zhou Kai's expression barely altered. Chief. That was not a difficult instruction. It is when the West Queen may be the woman your family just announced you will marry. Maybe. And when Heidong placed armed men in our harbor last night. I will not be alone. He Jun frowned. That does not make this safer. Gu Zhen stood. The camellia remained beside his tablet. He picked it up. Zhou Kai watched him leave the boardroom. When the doors closed, He Jun exhaled. He knows. Yes, Zhou Kai said. Does she? Zhou Kai looked at the weather message, still faintly visible on the locked phone screen. By tonight, he said, everyone important will know something. At 2 in the afternoon, Shen Lanyue removed Jinhai Xingdao Consulting from the Huacheng merger by causing 3 senior executives to believe it had been their idea. This required 46 minutes, 2 phone calls and a tray of pear tea. She considered it inefficient. Director Cao, she said, I would never question your recommendation. Director Cao, who had made no recommendation, immediately looked defensive. They sat in the western reception room of Heiyuan Shipping. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the river cranes. Shen Jianhong and Su Qing were meeting lenders upstairs. Shen Lanyue had been asked to review the merger's logistics plan because her own company knew more about freight movement than every consultant combined. The fact that her parents had finally admitted this had improved her afternoon. The presence of Rongsheng's shell company had not. Xingdao is respected, Director Cao said. I am sure. Their restructuring proposal is aggressive. My favorite kind. Then why? Shen Lanyue turned her ring. Tang Min, seated near the window in the role of corporate strategist, placed 3 documents on the table. One showed Xingdao's incorporation. One showed payments from Rongsheng Capital. One showed Director Cao dining with Xingdao's registered director on 6 occasions. Shen Lanyue poured him tea. Why, she finished gently, would I oppose them? Director Cao stared at the papers. This is a misunderstanding. Wonderful. Wonderful. Then you will have no objection to removing Xingdao and submitting your communications for review. His face lost color. Of course not. You see, we agree. He left 8 minutes later, carrying none of the confidence with which he had arrived. Tang Min waited until the door shut. Zhenyu Systems also flagged Xingdao this morning. Shen Lanyue looked up. How do you know? The removal request reached the Huacheng transition office 19 minutes before ours. 19. Yes. Unacceptable. Tang Min blinked. The security breach. His timing. Luo Xinyi laughed from the sofa. Shen Lanyue gave her a look. I apologize, Luo said. Please continue competing with your fiancé over who protects the family merger first. We are not competing. You counted the minutes. Precision is not competition. Tang Min laid a second file beside the tea. Our other investigation. Shen Lanyue opened it. She read each page without changing expression. The motorbike route, the missing hours, the height comparisons, the images of Gu Zhen tapping conference tables, car roofs, and once, inexplicably, a sesame bun tray. She stopped at that photograph. Where did this come from? Public broadcast, Luo Xinyi said. Why was it included? Behavioral consistency. He took the bun. After 2 taps. Shen Lanyue stared at the image. The East King of Jinhai had once halted a convoy by standing in the center of an expressway and tapping twice against the bonnet of the lead vehicle. 30 armed men had lowered their weapons. Gu Zhen used the same gesture before stealing the last sesame bun. She covered her mouth. Tang Min waited. Luo Xinyi waited less successfully. Shen Lanyue began to laugh. Chief, Tang Min said. I am sorry. She was not. What is your conclusion? Shen Lanyue lowered the file. You first. Tang Min did not look at Luo Xinyi. Gu Zhen is almost certainly the East King. The title sounded extraordinary beside his respectable name. It also sounded correct. Shen Lanyue rose and walked to the window. Below, a Heiyuan cargo vessel moved slowly along the river. Farther east, beyond towers and bridges, lay the territory she had spent 9 years pretending not to covet. Gu Zhen had built it. The quiet boy who used to repair her wooden swords had become the only man in Jinhai whose name could empty a street. She should have been furious. Instead, she felt something dangerously close to pride. Who else knows? She asked. Only us, Tang Min said. Our evidence team believes it is a surveillance exercise. Keep it that way. May I ask why? No. I expected that. At 9:50, bring the prisoner to the lower dressing room of the old theater. No one enters the auditorium before 10. Tang Min's gaze sharpened. The East King requested the same arrangement through Zhou Kai. How cooperative of him. Chief. Shen Lanyue turned. Tang Min had protected her through wars no newspaper knew had happened. She had lied to police officers, bribed smugglers with their own money, and once driven a burning vehicle into the river because Shen Lanyue had been trapped inside it. Concern from Tang Min was never casual. I will be safe, Lanyue said. That is what you say before doing something unsafe. I will be with Gu Zhen. That is not reassuring if Gu Zhen is the East King. It is to me. The words quieted the room. Tang Min studied her. You already knew. I suspected. Since when? Since he tapped twice at the harbor and looked at me as though I had stolen his lunch. Did you? When we were 11. Luo Xinyi sat forward. What happened? He carried a grudge for 6 months. It was his lunch, Tang Min said. It was one dumpling. Her phone lit with a message. The theater has a roof. She smiled before she could prevent it. Tang Min saw. Luo Xinyi saw more. The West Queen, Luo murmured, is smiling at a message from the East King. Shen Lanyue picked up the pear tea. The West Queen is considering throwing her intelligence chief out of a window. The windows do not open. My fiancé removes doors. That silenced them for almost 3 seconds. Then Luo Xinyi laughed so hard that Tang Min had to take away her tea. At 6:30, the Gu and Shen families gathered again for dinner. No one had informed Gu Zhen or Shen Lanyue that an engagement required 2 family meals in one day. It is not because of the engagement, Gu Cheng said. There is a cake with our names on it, Gu Zhen replied. The cake occupied the center of the dining table and was large enough to require structural support. 2 sugar figures stood beneath a sugar moon gate. One wore a dark suit, the other wore ivory. Both smiled with alarming optimism. That proves nothing, Shen Wenzhou said. Shen Lanyue sat beside Gu Zhen and examined the figures. Mine is taller. Inaccurate, he said. Artistic improvement. The head is also larger. Leadership. Grandmother Lin gave them a knife tied with red ribbon. Cut it together. We have not eaten dinner, Shen Lanyue said. It will photograph better before dinner. Yutong held up her phone. Gu Zhen looked at her. Do not post it. Why? Because I said so. That argument may work in Eastern Jinhai. Every adult at the table looked at her. Yutong blinked. Gu Zhen became still. Shen Lanyue turned her ring. Yutong gestured helplessly. Eastern Jinhai's technology sector, he is influential. Shen Rui covered a cough. Their grandparents accepted the explanation. Their parents barely noticed it. Gu Zhen and Shen Lanyue did not look at one another. Together they cut the cake. The knife met an internal support and stopped. Gu Zhen applied more pressure. The support snapped with a sharp crack. The knife continued through the base, the cardboard platform, and 1/2 centimeter into the oak table. Silent. Gu Zhen looked at the handle in his hand. Shen Lanyue looked at the cut. Yutong whispered, technology sector. Shen Lanyue recovered first. The baker should not have used brittle plastic. Gu Zhen withdrew the knife. Poor construction. Their fathers nodded as though this explained everything. Their grandmothers began serving cake. Under the table, Shen Lanyue's knee touched his. She was shaking with contained laughter. He kept his face straight for 7 seconds. Then she leaned close and whispered, "The East King has defeated dessert." His mouth moved. Grandmother Su saw. "Look," she said to Grandmother Lin, "he smiles." Every face turned towards him. The smile disappeared. "Too late," Shen Lanyue said. Dinner became an extended exercise in survival. Their mothers discussed possible venues. Their fathers argued over the order of names on the new Huacheng seal. Their grandfathers disagreed about whether the couple needed a larger house despite each already owning property bigger than most hotels. Their grandmothers discussed grandchildren. Not their current grandchildren. Future ones. Shen Lanyue placed her chopsticks down. "It is the first day." "Exactly," Lin Shukin said. "We are already behind." "Behind whom?" "Do not concern yourself with details." Gu Zhen drank tea. Shen Lanyue looked at him. "You are very quiet." "Experience suggests silence is safer." "Coward." "Strategist." "If both of you are embarrassed," Xu Meifeng said, "we can discuss childhood photographs instead." "Future grandchildren are acceptable," Gu Zhen said. Shen Lanyue kicked him beneath the table. He caught her ankle again. This time he did not immediately release it. Her eyes narrowed. He calmly continued eating. She reached for the serving dish beyond him. As she leaned across, her fingers found the bruise beneath his ribs and pressed. His chopsticks stopped. She smiled beautifully. He released her ankle. Their siblings watched the exchange with fascination. "Are they flirting?" Rui whispered. "I think they are trying to kill each other," Yutong whispered back. "Can it be both?" Grandmother Su heard them. "In a good marriage," she said, "often." At 9:12, Gu Zhen checked the clock. At 9:13, Shen Lanyue did the same. At 9:14, both stood. "I have a call," Gu Zhen said. "I have a warehouse inspection," Shen Lanyue said. Their grandmothers looked from one to the other. Together, Xu Meifeng asked. No, they said. Too quickly. Grandmother Lin smiled. Of course not. Shen Lanyue picked up her coat. Gu Zhen picked up his. Drive carefully, Su Qing said. Do not work all night, Xiao Wenli added. Come for breakfast tomorrow, both grandmothers ordered. The city's two most powerful hidden rulers agreed, obediently. They left through different gates. 3 minutes later, Gu Zhen's black car turned east. Shen Lanyue's blue car turned west. 7 minutes after that, both vehicles changed routes beyond the family security cameras. The old Riverside Theatre had not sold a ticket in 23 years. It stood between a disused ferry terminal and a row of warehouses scheduled for demolition, its red brick facade darkened by weather and its gilt characters missing 2 strokes. Rain entered through the western roof, pigeons occupied the upper gallery, and weeds grew through cracks in the foyer tiles. At 9:44, one side door opened. Gu Zhen entered wearing black. He carried no visible weapon. He checked the foyer, the staircases and the corridor leading to the lower dressing rooms. The prisoner remained below, guarded by 2 men who had orders not to leave their posts. Zhou Kai and He Jun were still 3 streets away. At 9:45, a voice drifted from the auditorium. You are late. Gu Zhen looked at his watch. By whose clock? Mine. Then your clock is wrong. He walked through the torn velvet curtains. One work light burned above the stage. Shen Lanyue sat on the edge with one leg crossed over the other. Her ivory suit was gone. She wore black trousers, a fitted dark jacket and soft-soled boots. Her hair fell loose over her shoulders. The jade ring shone against one hand. She looked exactly like the West Queen. She looked exactly like Shen Lanyue. The distinction had ceased to exist. Well, she asked. Gu Zhen descended the aisle. Well, what? Do I look mysterious? No. Dangerous. Occasionally. Beautiful. He stopped below the stage. That answer mattered more than the others. Yes, he said. For once, Shen Lanyue had no immediate reply. The silence between them changed. Then she looked away and turned her ring. You were more easily embarrassed at 14. You were less obvious. I was never obvious. You left a marriage contract in my school bag. Her head snapped back towards him. You found that. It said you would marry me if I surrendered the western half of the library roof. That was a territorial treaty. It had witness lines. Yutong drew flowers on it. She was for. She understood diplomacy. Gu Zhen placed one hand on the stage and stepped up. He landed beside her without a sound. Shen Lanyue looked at the height of the stage, then at him. Show off. There are stairs. You did not use them. Neither did you. She stood. They faced one another beneath the work light. No grandparents, no lieutenants, no families, boards, territories, or respectable names. Only the boy from the eastern courtyard and the girl from the western one. Only the East King and the West Queen. Shen Lanyue lifted her chin. Say it. You are Shen Lanyue. Very observant. You are the West Queen. The ring stopped beneath her thumb. Yes. Gu Zhen had known. Hearing it still altered the shape of the world. She held his gaze. Your turn. I am Gu Zhen. Allegedly. I am the East King. The abandoned theatre received the words and returned them as a whisper from the empty gallery. East King. Shen Lanyue stared at him. Then she laughed. Not delicately, not quietly. She folded one arm across her stomach and laughed until she had to sit on the edge of the stage again. Gu Zhen watched her. You find this amusing. You, she pointed at him. You are the man who made 30 dockworkers repaint an entire warehouse because they put a blue stripe on the eastern wall. It was a territorial marker. It was decorative. It was deliberate. I chose it because you stole my West River fuel contract. Your supplier was selling diluted fuel. I knew that. After I told you. You sent the report inside a dead fish. It reached you. She laughed harder. Gu Zhen sat beside her. For several moments, the city outside seemed very far away. You closed the Changbei tunnel for 6 hours, he said. There was a structural fault. There was a wedding procession. One of my captains was getting married. 300 vehicles were diverted. They saw a beautiful ceremony. I was in one of them. Then you should have sent a gift. I sent a road inspector. That was you. He looked at her. She stared. Together, unexpectedly, they began to laugh. It was absurd. For 9 years, they had contested routes, warehouses, contracts, and influence. They had communicated through sealed envelopes, intermediaries, and occasionally damaged property. Each had imagined the other as a calculating stranger who understood Jinhai too well. All along, Gu Zhen had been arguing with the girl who stole his dumplings. All along, Shen Lanyue had been provoking the boy who repaired her swords. The North Market chickens, she said suddenly. No, that was you. It was not. 2,000 chickens crossed the eastern boundary at dawn. An unfortunate transport incident. They were wearing blue ribbons. That detail remains unexplained. She leaned into his shoulder, helpless with laughter. He became very still. Her hair brushed his jaw, her hand caught his sleeve, the jade ring rested against his wrist. The laughter softened. Neither moved away. I missed you, she said. The words were nearly lost in the enormous empty room. Gu Zhen looked out at the rows of broken seats. I wrote back. I know that now. I waited for more letters. I sent them. I know that now. She straightened slowly. Someone stopped them. Perhaps. You do not believe in accidents. Neither do you. Will you investigate? I already started. She smiled faintly. Of course you did. Tang Min. Started before I asked. Zhou Kai did the same. Our people would either become excellent friends or burn down the city. Both are possible. They sat in silence again. This silence was not empty. Below the stage, dust moved through the light. Shen Lanyue studied his profile. Why did you build Kanglan? He did not ask how she knew its name. The West Queen was supposed to know everything west of the Central Avenue and most things east of it. Yutong was 11, he said. A man tried to take her outside school. Her expression changed. I know. He turned towards her. You know. Lin Jiang found the driver 3 days later. Kanglan found him first. Then why was he still able to speak? So he could name the others. We took the others. Gu Zhen remembered the criminal group that had disappeared from Western Jinhai before he could reach them. At the time, he had assumed the West Queen was expanding. That was you. Rui was 9, the same people had watched his school. Their eyes met. 2 organizations had been born from the same fear. Not greed. Not conquest. Family. Gu Zhen's voice became quiet. Did they touch him? No. Are you certain? I broke the hand of the man holding the camera. He nodded once. Good. That is all. Should there be more? Most respectable fiancés would object to their future wife breaking hands. Was it necessary? Yes. Then I object to the fact that you stopped at 1. Something warm entered her expression. And after that, he asked. After that, I discovered that the people who frightened children also moved contraband through the western docks, extorted shopkeepers, and paid men in offices to look away. So I removed them. You took the western wards. They needed rules. Your rules. Good rules. You charge a heavy price for breaking them. So do you. My prices are reasonable. You demolished a gambling hall. It was structurally unsound. After you drove a car through it. That revealed the weakness. She laughed again, softer this time. What do we do now? She asked. Gu Zhen knew she was not asking about the prisoner below them. About the engagement. About all of it. We find who planted the weapons at South Harbor. Heidong. Probably. The scarred man has a Federation mark. Marks can be copied. You are suspicious. You are alive because you are. She accepted that. We keep our families out of it, he continued. Huacheng is already under pressure from Rongsheng. Her eyes sharpened. You found Xingdao. 19 minutes before you. You counted. Precision. You are unbearable. You sent me the weather. It may rain. We are indoors. The roof leaks. He looked up. A drop struck his shoulder. Shen Lanyue smiled. 12 years, he said, wiping it away, and you still choose the dry seat. Leadership. And the organizations. Her smile faded. They cannot know yet. Agreed. Tang Min suspects. Zhou Kai suspects. Suspecting is not knowing. For them, it nearly is. If Kanglin learns I am Shen Lanyue, every banquet becomes a security operation. If Linjiang learns you are Gu Zhen, every company announcement becomes territorial analysis. That is already happening. Then imagine it worse. Gu Zhen did. He Jun attempting to search a wedding cake. Luo Xinyi planting listening devices in flower arrangements. Zhou Kai and Tang Min negotiating seating plans as though arranging a ceasefire. We wait, he said. Until we know whether we can trust each other. The warmth disappeared from her face. You do not trust me. I trusted a 13-year-old girl on a roof. She did not fall. Because I carried her. I remember. I do not yet know the West Queen. Shen Lanyue stood. The movement was smooth and quick. You fought beside her. Once. You saw enough. I saw that you are fast. Faster than you. No. You could barely keep up. I was protecting the prisoner. You were protecting me. He stood too. They were close now. Did you need it? He asked. No. Then I was protecting the prisoner. She lifted one hand and pressed a finger against the center of his chest. You always did lie badly. I rarely lie. You told grandmother you hurt your ribs on a desk. A desk was involved. After you threw someone onto it. He looked down at her finger. She removed it, but not quickly. And you, he asked, do you trust me? Gu Zhen. The East King. She considered him. I trust that you will protect your family. That was not the question. I trust that you keep your word. Still not the question. I trust that if someone points a weapon at me, you will break their arm before deciding whether I deserve the assistance. Accurate. But do I trust you with Western Jinhai? She turned the jade ring once. Not yet. He nodded. Then we agree. How irritating. Footsteps sounded faintly in the foyer. 9:58. Their lieutenants had arrived. The prisoner below shouted something muffled and impolite. Shen Lanyue looked towards the stage door. We have 2 minutes. Enough. For what? You said you wanted proof. Her gaze returned to him. I want more than proofs. What? A correction. To what? 9 years of unresolved argument. Gu Zhen waited. Her smile returned, slow and brilliant. Tomorrow night, she said, the old maintenance court beneath Jin Bridge. Why? Because neither of us will believe the other is not a figurehead until we settle it properly. A fight. A conversation with fewer lies. Weapons. No blades, no guns, no guards. Rules. Do not fall into the river. That rule is for you. Still boring. He tapped 2 fingers against her jade ring. Once, twice, the contact was light. Her breath caught. "Midnight," he said. 11. Midnight. Afraid someone will see you lose. I have dinner with my grandparents. She stared at him. Then she laughed again. 11:30. Agreed. The footsteps beyond the curtains drew nearer. Shen Lanyue stepped back into the shadowed wings. Gu Zhen caught her wrist. She stopped. His hand encircled the jade ring without touching it. One more question. Quickly. The blue ribbons on the chickens. Her eyes widened with innocence. What about them? You ordered it. Prove it. She slipped from his grasp and disappeared behind the curtain. A side door closed. 3 seconds later, Zhou Kai entered the auditorium from the opposite aisle. He found Gu Zhen standing alone beneath the work light. He looked at the second entrance. He looked at Gu Zhen's hand. He looked at the unmistakable smile his chief had failed to remove. Was anyone here? Zhou Kai asked. Gu Zhen's expression became calm. No. From behind the western wall came the distant sound of Shen Lanyue laughing. Zhou Kai said nothing. Gu Zhen walked towards the stairs leading to the prisoner. Bring him up. Chief. What? You are a poor liar. Gu Zhen glanced back. Zhou Kai's face remained perfectly respectful. Tomorrow, Gu Zhen said, audit the northern poultry routes. Why? Unresolved business. Across the theater, Tang Min met Shen Lanyue in the lower corridor. Was anyone in the auditorium? Tang Min asked. No. Luo Zini appeared behind her. Then why are you smiling? Shen Lanyue turned her ring. Because tomorrow night, she said, I am going to correct a 12-year-old mistake. Which mistake? She looked east, through brick and rain and half a city of secrets. Letting Gu Zhen believe he could beat me. Far beyond the theater, beneath the arches of Jin Bridge, river water struck the old maintenance caught in slow black waves. At 11:30 the following night, the king and queen of Jinhai would meet there alone. This time, they would not be pretending to stand on the same side.